Students, welcome back. This is going to be the last example in section 2.5. We're in example 4. We're still solving inequalities. Let me kind of take you back. Example 1, we had variables on each side of the inequality. Example 2, we had, the word problems. And then example 3, we had to do a little bit of simplifying on each side of the inequality, and then we could start moving things around and solving. Now, example 4, we've seen this type of situation before. Back when we did equations, do you remember when we talked about there are times when we solve equations, we may actually cancel out the variable? Do you remember that discussion? Okay, I do too. Well, it's possible to cancel out the variable when you're solving inequalities. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay? So go ahead and, if you will, in the lower right-hand corner, if you'll write, I have a code word for you, write sand dollar. That's going to be your code word today. All right, so let's look at the very first one. X plus 5 is greater than or equal to x plus 3. All right, you know me. I like to get the variables. I like to move the variables first. Some of you guys like to move the numbers first. I like moving the variables first. So there's no distributive property. I cannot add like terms on each side. So I'm ready to commit to moving the variable from one side to the other. So when I do that, when I move this x and put it over on the left side, look what happens. 1x minus 1x is 0, so I'm left with 5. 1x minus 1x is also 0, and I'm left with 3. I have no variable. That can happen, and it's okay if it happens. Let's talk about what the answer to this question is, because they're asking us to solve the inequality. So you either get an answer, or you have no solution at all, or you have every solution. So those are your three possibilities. You either solve for x and actually get an answer, you have no solution, or you have every solution, all real numbers. Now, to make that determination, you need to look right here. 5 is greater than or equal to 3. Okay? Is that true? That's the question you're asking. Is this true? Is 5 bigger than 3? We know it's not equal to, so, and it's an or situation, greater than or equal to. Greater than, yes, 5 is bigger, greater than 3. This is true, okay? So what this means is the answer is all real numbers. I can take any number and plug it in for the x on the left, and that same number plug in for the x on the right, and it will always work out. It will always work out. Okay, so let's try a couple. Let's test my theory. Let's try -1. We're going to plug in -1 for the x, and then we're going to solve. -1 plus 5 is 4, and -1 plus 3 is 2. Is 4 bigger than 2? Yes, it is. Okay, let's try 0. 0 plus 5, is that bigger than 0 plus 3? Well, 0 plus 5 is 5. 0 plus 3 is 3. 5 is bigger than 3. That is truth. Okay, let's try +1. 1 plus 5. Is that bigger than 1 plus 3? 1 plus 5 is 6. 1 plus 3 is 4. 6 is bigger than 4. So I just tested 3 numbers. I chose a negative number, I chose 0, and I chose a positive number. And all of them worked. And you can continue checking every single number. You could throw in a fraction, you could do a decimal, you could try any number, and it will always make that inequality true. It will always work out that the left side will always be bigger than the right side. Okay? So that's why all real numbers has to be the answer, because the inequality is true. When you lose that variable, the inequality is true. It doesn't matter what I plug in for the variable. The left side will always be bigger than the right side. Okay, Now let's take a look at this bottom one. We got a little work to do here because we have parentheses, so you're going to have to distribute. So we've got 2x plus 6 is less than 5 plus 2x. You know me, I like getting my variables together, so I'm going to subtract 2x from each side. And I've got 6 is less than 5. So this is what you ask yourself. I lost my variable. Is this true? Is what I have written here, is this true? And no, this is false. So what this tells you, the way you interpret this answer is, there's not a number on this planet I could ever plug in that will make this true. So you would say no solution, or you could write null set, N-U-L-L, null set. Now, let's test my theory. Let's plug in some numbers. So I've got 2 times, let's do -1 plus 3 is less than 5 plus 2 times -1. Okay, so, well, -1 plus 3, and back over here, -1 plus 3 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, 2 times -1 is -2. 5 plus -2 is 3. 4 is less than 3. Actually, no. 4 is bigger than 3. It doesn't work. Okay? You could try 0. You could try any number on this planet. It's not going to work. It's never going to work. So it doesn't matter what you plug in for x, it will never work. The left side will never be smaller than the right side. So that's why we have to say that this is no solution. Okay, so I just showed you an example of when you lose your variable and it's all real numbers is your answer, and I just showed you where the answer could be no solution. So let me give you an extra credit, because I know you like extra credit. I hope you like extra credit. Let's try this one. Let's do 4 times the quantity y minus 1, and that's greater than or equal to 4y plus 2. See what you come up with. This is your extra credit. So you work down your page. I'd like you to show me each step in solving, and then show me one number that you've checked to see if it actually works or doesn't work. Okay? So I appreciate it. Thank you for listening as always, and bring your questions to class.